Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all other persons. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for choosing to spend this evening with us. My name is Kwaz Hood, and this is the final online reading for the 2022 Poetry Africa Festival. We have an amazing lineup tonight of vibrant voices, vibrant tongues that do and twist and undo and then twist again and then fold and mold and recreate. And I'm excited to be here tonight to introduce and share their work with you. Now, before we go any further, I just want you guys to please take note of the following. Tonight at the Seabrooks Theatre, we have a ballet performance, or rather a theatrical poetic performance, dance performance called 2000 Leagues Under the Water. Oh God, forgive me, 2000 Leagues. 2000 Leagues Under the Sun. Forgive me. I've been telling this to all our media partners the whole day and repeating it, and it has been in my brain because I'm really excited specifically about this direction that the festival is taking, bringing in different mediums and different folds and seeing how we can take this work that we do and fit it into different shapes and forms and have it exist in different spaces. So tonight at the Seabrooks Theatre, 2000 Leagues Under the Sea. It starts at 6 p.m. No, I'm lying. It's 7 p.m. Call time for us is at 6 p.m. So you guys can come a little early, hang out, meet the poets. I think it's going to be pretty fun. And then tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., we have the UJ Showcase. That's a bunch of students that came up from the University of Johannesburg with me, and they will be presenting their work that they've been working on throughout the year, selected poems, tomorrow at 11 o'clock at the Howard Theatre. And then at 7 p.m., we have the final of this Poetry Africa Slam. The winner of the slam takes away a cumulative 22,000 Rand and a trip to Brazil. And I think it is pretty interesting how things have turned out in the semi-final. And I'm pretty excited to see how things turn out in this final. Congratulations to all the guys that made it, and good luck to you guys tomorrow evening. That's at the Howard Theatre at 7 p.m. tomorrow. But for tonight, I want you guys to please get ready. I hope you have your coffees. I hope you have your teas. I hope you... Tonight we have Pralini Naidu. We have Julie Ngadi. We have Flo Wellington and Jamila Roshani, who will come and share their amazing work and the iterations that the languages that they use and employ in their work. Have that shine through tonight. I'm really excited to introduce to you, as our first performer for the evening, Pralini Naidu, who is a poet, a storyteller, and she has just published her first collection of poetry called Wild Roots. Yay! She is currently a PhD candidate at the University of Western Cape, Department of Women and Gender Studies, and her research is focused on the relationship between women and seed within the context of indenture, with aims to recover and discover hidden narratives of erased histories. Such important work. Pralini, I am so excited to have you here because I am a quiet fan online, and tonight I get to share what I think is a brilliant mind with the rest of the world by introducing you. How are you feeling? You have to unmute yourself. There we go.
Hi, hello. Yeah, how am I feeling? Yeah, pretty chilled, eh? No, I lie. It's taken me 56 years to get here.
Wow.
Yeah, so here I am. It's been a while. I'm very excited to be here. I've always loved Poetry Africa. It's filled my soul for many years.
Right.
Yeah, but here we go. Look, I'm just going to go straight into it because I can meander and talk a hell of a lot. So we're talking about, dialects, and we're talking about language, and I mean, it's like a difficult one for a lot of us to speak about. But I think poetry always says it best. I'm going to read a small excerpt from a poem called Sister Ode. It actually hasn't been published yet. It's going to be, it's within an academic book called Colliding Words and Worlds. It's a feminist publication, pluriversal conversations on transnational feminisms. That's quite a mouthful. So I remember when I was asked to contribute, the only language I could speak was poetry for this. Okay, so Sister Ode. When Lord said poetry is not a luxury, she wasn't kidding. How often, while struggling to surface, I have found myself here in the belonging of a poem, a language I did not know I knew. When the world bears down with its stifling labels, trying to iron me out, flatten my creases, poetry, like an errant thread, dances through me, unraveling even my own acquiescence. And words collide from a place where the deep inside meets the far beyond, creating textures, rhythms, and images from the palette of love's noticing. Here I am free. A friend once confided, I can only write poetry in Amharic. This made me smile and sad at the same time. I mused on my mother's tongue, now erased from mine, and why it was that Tamil or Tamil is not the language which forms on my lips in the moments of deep communion. At times like these, poetry rolls her eyes. She skips and somersaults and pulls a middle finger at the shoulds, musts, and have-tos of my adopted colonial language. This tongue through which you speak, says poetry, transcends the language of the mind, of the oppressor, of the deeply buried silences and of things blacked out. This is Spirit's whisper. Okay, I'll just stop it there. The next poem is called Demasia. It's a found poem that was written in a workshop, Portuguese and English. These were words that just popped out and landed on me. Demasia. Mystery, mesmos, demasia. It is a rhythm more than our identities. I should have come straight to you, lying in the leaves of grass by the creeks on the margins, a woman who appears on unknown days, each time wearing my best underwear. And then this one is the language of those deeply embedded secrets which pop out when you on holiday. It's called Mountain in the Colony. Mountain in the Colony. If I ran my fingers along your back, would I feel ridges furrowing with sorrow? Like calluses of memory rippling with the pain of years, of centuries, of eons, steeply watching over your people far below, tucked away like shame. Your wrinkles bristling, fynbos and impepo, cancer bush and weeds. I imagine you might have bled when they dug into your heart, carving out their haven. Here it is that you hold me as I nestle deep within this cavity, an ancient wound, as I listen to your stories told through the wings of eagles and helicopters over the glint of metal scabs. Okay. So the language of love. This poem is called Incessant Love. My love lives in rivers, in the thoughts that flow within my daily migrations, inside and outside. Feverish and incessant, living like a parasite in the everyday. My love won't leave, won't be babysat or paused or still. So far away. My love lives here. How much time do I have? I could go on forever.
I would love for you to keep going. Go, go, go.
Okay, can I go? Okay. Right. Okay. So, all right. Let me read one about my grandmother, my favorite person in the whole world. Okay, it's called Of Chicken and Grandmothers. I watched her kill a hen once. It had been clucking around the backyard. Knowing the fate awaiting this plump creature, I was clucking around too, dramatic and self-righteous. Ava was calm, hair knotted into a neat black bun, feet planted, firm as a sumo wrestler. She scooped the bird into her arms and wrung its neck. Eyeing Ava with equal measure of awe and shock, I followed her around for the rest of the day, wrinkling my nose as she plucked feathers and singed hairy chicken flesh. The bird was destined to become Ava's chicken curry. Well, not a bad way to end its happy life in her garden. Sometimes Ava visits me in dreams, as grandmothers do, to bring me a pot of her curry. And I smell and I taste the freshly ground jeera, dhania, and pepper. And I look at her, sated, and give her a hug. Ava, you do know that I'm vegetarian, right? Don't worry, Peti, she says with her high cheekbone smile. It's only a dream. Any more? Do I have more time?
You've hit 12 minutes on the nose.
Okay.
Oh, Pralini, thank you so much. That's beautiful. There's such care in your work and such, and I mean also just the love and the storytelling and how our parents and our grandparents often visit our writing. For me, those are always the poems that creep right into your heart because we all know that feeling. So thank you very much for sharing with us, Pralini. Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy to introduce the next person, a long dear friend of mine, publisher, hardworking publisher. I enjoy my conversations with her many times because I get to laugh at her frustrations as a publisher. But she does really, really good and important work for independent writers, for writers who are looking to do self-publishing in terms of their guiding, in terms of guiding them and putting them in positions for their books to be a success. Flo Wellington, she is a genderqueer author and founding publisher of Poetry Publications, an independent self-publishing house, and she is the author of 2 poetry collections. The Undelivered Score in 2011, that's when she published it, and How Trained, Poems and Stories, that she published in 2018. She's also an editor and a curator of 2 anthologies, the Looking Glass Anthology and Universal, that's beautiful, published in 2003. Please correct me with that title because I feel like I might have mispronounced it. She's also the recipient of the African Authors Award and has been published in multiple journals locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone across the world watching, please welcome to this space, Flo Wellington.
Taveres, thank you everyone for having me. I'm very excited to be here. This has been a long dream of mine to be part of Poetry Africa. And yeah, and like Pralini said, I'll just get into it. And I chose poems that really stuck with the context and theme of tonight because it's something that's really close to my heart. As a person of color in South Africa who comes from First Nations people, who we can say that our language has basically been erased from our heritage. So a lot of the poems I'll do this evening has got to do with my journey in rediscovering and returning to self, and also just opening more conversations around what language means in identity, what language means in terms of knowing who you are and your journey in this lifetime. So yeah, I'll start off with Mixed Enough. They call me yellow bone here. Where I grew up, I was brown skinned. Not that pretty, nice hair at least. They call my thighs thick here. Where I'm from, they never missed an opportunity to jeer at my fat. I was taught to love my grandmother's milky skin and Irish eyes, but not the kink in a Bushman hair. My speech is not a crass slur, so they call me Lonnie here. There's no vernac that rolls off my tongue, and the scorn they drag through their teeth. Because I look like them, but not like others. I sound like those they'll burn alive in the streets while others watch. Even here, where I can sway my Sarah Bartman proudly, this Malay hair is too straight to claim a home soil. I'm a tasteful novelty that adds spice to their social gatherings. The anomaly that is never black, just mixed enough to accommodate. So somebody said to me, I had someone review the book once and they didn't like that poem very much because they said you say things in there that you can't really say to a people. But I feel in bringing truth to form and in bringing truth to front, these are necessary conversations that need to be had because I highlight, it's not that I'm bad-mouthing my own people, it's how we talk to each other that we need to address in terms of using derogatory terms as an insult. And language plays a big role in reforming a nation in terms of banding together to reclaim identity. So my next one is called Terugkeren. It's completely Afrikaans. You can follow me on social media. I'll translate for you. Die branders krap nog ewe hard teen die rotse. Nog so spierwit en skuimerig soos ek onthou, die skepe steeds so geroes sleep nog daagliks al karre gevangs na die hawe. Die taxi-bestuurder staan nie ewe trots, almal werk nog op hulle poste. Onthou nog skooldae toe ons moes stou staan vir sitplekke. En die strate lyk nog dieselfde. Ou biere skinder nog lekker. Geen nuwe gesiggies nie, net bekendes, al hoe ouer. Hoe gerieflik stap almal in hul ouers se voetspore. Die lewe gaan maar aan. Net kastig ek wat verander en anders gloei. Die groot stad doen mos dit aan jou. En oupa bly nou stoksiel alleen met ouma se herinnering altyd op die tafel gedek. Soms verskyn sy so vaag weg tussen die gordyne in 'n sonstraal om 'n koppie tee en 'n glimlag te deel. Kyk hoe lê my ma se bitter woorde voor een en al se deurpos om vinnig te herinner. Ek's nou meer vreemdeling as huiskind en dus hoe mens terugkeer. Thank you. got a bit emotional there because this poem was written when my grandfather was still alive. So reading it now in a present tense sort of context is a little bit a lot. But poetry is a lot, and you know, these discussions are a lot. My next one is called Afrika Kind. It's another Afrikaans one, and I write more and more as I get older. I write more in Afrikaans because when I was younger, poems in Afrikaans used to come to me in dreams. I did not write a lot of Afrikaans poems. So now I find that the more I am learning Kuku language, the more I'm discovering my heritage. I'm writing more in an expression that's speaking through a different spirit. So this one is called Afrika Kind. Afrika Kind. Hoekom steek jy jou so weg agter die wêreld se make-up en relaxes? Elke seisoen se next best trend. Waarom vlug jy van jou geboortereg? Hoekom is jou erfenis so sonderlik, so bitter op jou tong? Sien jy nie hoe brom die mode om jou boskop hare? Hoe smag so baie op hierdie holiday strande na jou goudbruin melanien? Maar jy, Afrika Kind, is 'n vlugteling van jou moedertaal. Jy frons op jou moederland as jy jou eie vyand. Voel jy nie hoe die aarde onder jou voete bewe na die ritme van jou isakua? Hoe instrumente jou saligheid moreer? Aru, tanu. Da agap, da agas. Joune is 'n eeuwelang gebedslied na ons voorvaders. 'n Reendans, 'n danksegging. Dit wat deur blare fluister wanneer die winde met die hemel gesels. Afrika Kind, jou oë is donker, jou hare 'n mengelmoes, jou vel uitdruklik deur die son gesoen. Jy is die naamgenoot van die grond waarop jy loop, jou hande die opsigters van die bloedlyne wat die wêreld vasstel. Maar jy, Afrika Kind, jy is steeds 'n vlugteling van jouself, meer bang vir jouself as die wat jou neerdruk. So in this poem, it's quick here. Here I can give you the bits of translations where I say, jou voete bewe na die ritme van jou isakua. Isakua is your beautiful praise. And aru, tau is dance to reed pipes, tau is radiate. Da ahab, da ahas is rejoice, son and daughter. Poetry Africa, I'm here, guys. How much time do I have? I'm not too sure. One more?
Yeah, we can definitely have like one more.
One more. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to do this one with music, but there's a storm here, so the background noise is a bit much. Nama damara tu hadagea. Nama damara tu hadagea. Open your mouth wide. Wider than the rounded constraints of a stolen language you try so hard to master. Allow your tongue to time travel. They say it cannot forget the language of your Abogan. Open your mouth wider. Feel the clicks and echoes return and rise from your belly. Remember when your huap was yours and didn't need colonial justification. Tai oa. Yours is the task of untangling twisted tongues from censored silence. So the stories of old are forever told with your mouth wide open. Nama damara hada gea. Thank you.
Oh, Flo Wellington, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your amazing work with us and for bringing what you say is a forgotten language that is intentionally being marginalized and intentionally being sidelined to this platform in particular, and for being brave to speak it. You know, sometimes we stop ourselves because we're scared that people won't understand, you know.
And that's exactly what the last poem says. It says, Hada Gea, we are here. And right. A lot of people who say it's a forgotten language, it's an erased language. We are here. We are a people. We are a nation who are here and who are rising up again and who are reclaiming self. So Hada Gea.
Oh, man, I love it. Thank you, Flo. Thank you for the great work that you do in publishing, and also with this beautiful activism for our languages that is shining through in this work that you are doing. Thank you so much for tonight. Yeah, and for blessing us with those sounds. It's been a while, and it's really a pleasure to hear you again after such a long time. Simone Stone says, baie mooi. Dit was baie mooi, Flo. Baie mooi. Thank you, Simone, for your comments on Facebook. Tulile Zama says, Simone, oh, forgive me. Simone, there we go. And then Tulile Zama throws back to Pralini and she says, shine, Pralini, shine. So thank you very much, Tulile, for engaging and being, yeah. Whoop, whoop, the power that is Pralini. La Loba Organics. Okay, that's from a person named La Loba Organics saying the power that is Pralini. I think we all agree to, yeah, just allow Pralini to be great. She has proven that the poems that she has done deserves a double whoop, whoop. Thank you very much, guys, for your contents, your comments. Forgive me. Palapaya de Villiers says, fantastic. Okay, that's lovely. I think people are engaging with the work. People are listening attentively, and they are hearing us. So that is exciting to see. Thank you for joining us, folks, online and everywhere around the world, wherever you are. Next up, I want to introduce you guys to Jamila Roshani. She's a Berlin-based poet, writer, performer of German and Iranian descent. Her work is rooted in her truth, their entire truth, in its uncomfortable, expanding and ever-changing form. They regard honesty as the foundation that enables other people to weave their own realities into the work, making the experience a layered and inherently collaborative process. Jamila, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Kwaz. How are you doing?
I'm well. I'm so happy to have you here with us. All the way from Berlin. I know you were in South Africa for a few months, I think sometime earlier on this year. But we still get to share poems, even if it's via the internet. And I think this is also beautiful because it allows the rest of the world to join in this conversation that you're about to initiate with your poems.
Yes, thank you so much. It's good to be here. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your work. Yeah, I'll get right into it. When last have you been whole, not a stranger everywhere, living in between spaces, learning to make a home of the gap? When last have you been whole, not bearer of a distant pulse, surviving with a hollow heart, skin always waiting to be torn apart? When last have you been whole, not fever dream turned flesh, both burning question and cold silence coiled up in a single body? When last have you been whole? Not in this life, not in this world. We are ornaments to a dying tree. We decorate the spaces between decaying branches. We are poems composed in a foreign language. Our pomegranate hearts always misunderstood. Birds pick at our stories to weave their own song. To them, our sweetness comes in seasons. They saw us falling to the white gale before, hollowed out by locust swarms. Never have we seen a winter from above. The beaks drop us year by year. The songs rot and sink into snow. The wind sighs and moves on. Sometimes, in the eroding dead of colorless nights, a red breeze visits our brown-leafed caskets to sing us stories grown on warmer soil. How healing to hear our name in old songs. But years have passed and colors long faded, roots long plastered under shrouds of white. So we rewrite the names and translate the poems our grandparents carried here on their backs. We are ornaments, tracing the memory of seeds, red fruits growing in the land of dying trees. My ancestors gave birth during earthquakes. Solid ground was never a family tradition. When the soil appears first in a volatile state, growing roots turns to a lifelong mission. We learned that repetition can help to remember. Repetition can help to remember, like inventing proverbs in the absence of prayers. Repetition can help to remember, to bend gravity a little bit, to mend the pattern of trembling water into a familiar theme, when home remains a foreign idea, when the crevice between belonging and longing stretches as enough to tear generations apart. My ancestors taught us to make art from contradictions. We learned to sing in tongues long lost in dark silence. Let memories unfold like water. Let children of salt disappear in the night. Let them search for lips to recognize their name, for smoke signals to arise from skin, for hot blood to drip into a map, a way to blend these fragmented gaps, while death only chuckles and points upwards instead. My ancestors are buried in the arms of red wind, for air has not betrayed us yet, has not split open like soil, has not broken our heritage into pieces. We are in motion, still. You call yourself writer, but the loudest story is always your silence. A language made from empty spaces, a language made for lonely tongues, a language made from shimmering air, a language made from desperate lungs, a kingdom erected on hunger and bones, smoking praise and treasured lies, words painted on golden clouds, a kingdom without clear skies. For how long will we live in your gaps, conjuring breath from our dreams? Will we believe you when you say, wake up, my reader, or die in your sleep? My next piece is titled To the Good Man. Trust is a slithering daydream when living on ancient hunting grounds. The perpetual night shrouds intent in a blur. The air is bruised by ghosts of hounds who are two-faced by nature. They snarl as they smile, lock flowers in jaws, caress with sharp claws, demons disguised in the cloak of skin. You say you can't see how they lurk everywhere. You say you can't hear the barking and biting. You say you can't smell their toxic breath. You say you have never been part of the pack. But listen to the wind wailing outside. Does it not sound like your father's silence? And didn't you feed on the same wounded air ever since you were born? You promised that you cleansed all hunger within, that it is warm and safe between your teeth, that this curse can't fit in the shape of your skin, that you learned how to breathe without touching the air. But why do you cover the mirror at night? What illusions crumble on the darker side? What curses do you hide in your own shadow? Whose bodies do you use to feed the void inside? Waiting for answers is dangerous when you muted my question so many times. So don't claim to not recognize your own kind. I know the same hunger runs through you. I saw you gnawing at collarbones before. Don't tell me you won't come for my flesh, too. The rain pours and pours. Worlds merge before your mind's eye into a single river. Your sight flickers and the rain pours. Your spine quivers and the rain pours. The earth roars and the light shivers and the rain pours, pounding your name, sounding like a god from the future. The rain pours and dampens your salt, a sunken dream in a dried up ocean. The rain pours and nurtures your thirst, beating and knocking, speaking to you. Come out to seek, not that which you want, but that which you need. Not the source of the river, but the source of the sea. Come out to be what you fail to run from. Come out to yourself. Come out to me. My next piece is titled, What is Gender but a Haunted House? I was brought up in a haunted house that pretended to be a home. There's a room in my memory that reeks of unburned ashes, with ghosts of men disguised by white walls, with screaming smoke but unnoticed sparks. The past burns most of my futures here. There's a window in the entrance of history that presents a broken vision, a double-blind view, just pink and blue curtains hung on two sides. The gaze of hardened colors petrifies my fluidity here. There's a door to my sanity that creaks every time the darkness breathes. Its edges scratch at the resistance of light, a tired sun consumed by patriarchal gloom. My fears gather like unhinged clouds here. The horizon roars, and all my doubts are compressed to one question. Why did I try to cleanse this place for so long when this house will always be haunted? My body outgrew this curse long before its birth. This place was meant to be nothing but hollow. I'm beginning to see through its emptiness now. My vision contains more than a view. So I turn the dormit around and summon the witches. We burn a bush and burn a few bridges, leave ashes like breadcrumbs and trust the winds to disperse the fears and plant something fertile. Learn to break hardened habits like a prism breaks rays. Stay if you want, leave if you like, but never dim your light in the face of this blaze. And stop being afraid to abandon a house never built to be home for us anyway. All right, my last piece is titled World Bending after the amazing author Akwake Emezi. Your world locks us in a single name, but we have always been many. Cage a body and call it woman. Cage a shadow and call it men. Don't you know that we are shapeshifters? Fluid forms you cannot contain, constantly forging keys in our veins. Don't you know that we are weightlifters, bearing the burden of multiple skins and silenced scars where we once carried wings? But don't you know that we are whisperers, ancient protests on the tips of our tongues, calling upon steel skeletons to tumble into pieces? And don't you know that your cages are crumbling, that we are breaking free again and again, coming to bend this world of yours until all margins form our new center? Until all margins form our new center. Until all margins form our new center. Thank you.
Jamila, thank you so much. What an absolute pleasure to listen to your work, to read your work, to experience your work always. But thank you so much for also what you are saying and the themes you are carrying throughout these poems and the stories that you are telling. Philippa is going crazy on Facebook with her comments. Solid ground was never a family tradition. Very powerful. That's Mercy Gliwayo. She's all the way from Limpopo. Brilliant poet herself. Thank you, Mercy, for tuning in. Red fruits growing in a land of dying trees. Philippa Villiers quoting you right back to yourself there. Thank you so much, Jamila, for sharing the evening with us and for sharing your work with us. It is it is moving, touching, and we appreciate you being here. Oh, next up we're gonna go to Angola with Joyce Zhao. I hope you guys are ready because Joyce Zhao is a very, very exciting performer. I got to see her recently at a slam, and also I've seen some of her videos online, and I'm really excited to have her be part of tonight's powerful lineup, which someone also called earlier on Facebook, one for the history books. This is a lineup for the history books. So lovely. So Joyce is an Angolan. She's graduated in engineering. She's a slammer, a poet, an artivist, and the mentor of the project Slam Workshops as a tool for education and political practice. She's the winner of several prizes for spoken word poetry in Angola, and she was also the Angolan representative at the World Poetry Championship in Belgium. Joyce, it is so lovely and beautiful, and yeah, it's good to have you with us. How are you doing?
Hello everybody. My name is Joyce Zhao. I'm very excited to be here with all of you. It's a pleasure. It's the first time to be part of this Africa Poetry Slam, and I'm very glad to be here. My English isn't so good like yours, but I'm here to read some poems for you. I just translate one poem in English because I speak Portuguese. Angola speaks Portuguese, and I translate one poem only in English to read for you. And I hope you will like the poem. Okay, can I start, please?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. The title of poem is Between Peace and Love, I Prefer Love. I was inspired by Marcelino Frey to say as he does, I am not of peace. Yes, that's it what you heard. I definitely hate the peace. I don't care about moral and good behaviors, about the physical laws that rule nature in time and space. I am not of peace and I hate the peace. Peace doesn't tell me anything. Peace doesn't represent me. Peace, a rag for a stained social fabric. Peace is fake. Peace pretends it brings freedom while make us products in a treadmill and control us through antennae. Peace creates a devastation in the winter and comes with a smile that opens up like a flower in the spring and corrupts our cries for justice. Peace forces us to swallow and to dry our waterfalls of tears that spills into our guts and says, forget it, move on. Peace is a beautiful flower with a terrible smell. Peace symbolizes a past when one could not breathe pure poetry. Peace is a perfect illusion to keep our eyes hypnotized and maybe sleepy of reality. Peace announces war, waiting as a king for a Nobel Prize. In our longings and attempts for freedom, peace was strolling like a phantom and in the end, shined as a hero. Was sitting in his complacency and the first row seat while the bullets bled the earth and only showed up after the diabolical murder of the martyrs. As Marcelino says, peace is beautiful on the media, peace is pale, peace is white. Peace doesn't flow from our faces, it. It doesn't dance in our stomachs. Peace wasn't there when my smile went silent and my screen faded away. One makes war to reach peace, and then one makes more war for keeping it. The pursuit of peace makes mute people speak in the dark, and in the end, the dawn of new times make deaf people pretend to listen, and blind people to pretend to see. And the end, we never left from where we started, and the sun never gets shine. Peace offered to us a portion of lies. Peace is the alpha and the omega of war. Peace energizes the circuit of auroras. Dear peace, I have two questions for you. Look at me and answer. I said, look at me and answer. Where were you when desperate people looked for a cure capable to give them survival in this space of cruel life? Where were you when thousands of staff were stuck into the saving women's vulvas who were left with agonizing souls? Why did you become infatuated with war and not with love? I don't want to know of synonyms, antonyms, or linguistic meaning. I want to know why peace pretends to care. Why does it act as an atomic nuclear energy, clean, without pollution, through extremely dangerous and fatal, that freezes a nation, leaves the poetry horse when it radioactivity decides to embrace the earth? Tell me, peace. Do you want, after all this, that I pay homage to you? Do you want me to undress of Bukowski's ironies, wet me with João Tala's metaphors, harvest the flower of Antonio Jacinto's poetry, and to pay you homage? No, cold love. While peace for many centuries only had eyes to references among the major poets and Pepetela, why it only respected the masters of bonanza and abundance, love came and revealed to us dignified references that long existed in our side ghettos. Today, we can be inspired by poetry of Joyce Zhao. We are inspired by shows of liberty that echoes in Laurinda Gouveia. Peace make us numbers and statistics. Love make us prose, verbs that hyperbolizes goodness. Peace values symbols. Love values the people and the earth. For that, I will eternally be for love, and never, never I will be of peace. Thank you so much. As I say, is the only poem that I bring here. But if you want me to read another poem in Portuguese, I know if you will not understand me, but if you want, I'm here. But it's just the one. What? We want.
Yes, we want. All of us want. Please.
Okay,
in fact, yes.
Em histórias da ancestralidade, eu aprendi que a oralidade era característica dos nossos povos. Raul Antuna, numa das suas falas, diz que a palavra contém um valor dinâmico e eficaz, um traço nuclear que faz com que o homem encontre as suas raízes e busque sua totalidade. A África sempre foi oral, mesmo com o léxico dos chicotes acariciar brutal e mortalmente as suas costas, ela resistia, nunca se molhou da imunidade da fala. Diante do caos que encontramos há 50 anos atrás e o neocolonismo que perpetua atualmente, eu me pergunto, de onde vêm esses silêncios? Que silêncio é esse? Quando nos tornamos tão silenciosos? Que silêncio é esse que nos faz olhar o país a se transformar em pólvora nesse mar de atribulações e nós aqui com as vozes atadas até os confins? Que silêncio é esse que faz com que a crosta, estremecidamente admirado de tanto que nos pinta os solos com democracias inoperáveis e legislações tediosas? Que silêncio é esse que, diante dessa masturbante incompetência, aterrorizante, negligência, desumanizante, existência vibrante, incoerência, nos sugue a poesia da fala reivindicativa? Milhas de sonhos são engavetados devido a essa vossa porca politiquice. Adultos infantilizados nos escombros da vossa demagogice. Ambientes hospitalares jorram rimas sangrentas sem líderes governativos porque só se interessam com a vossa internacional populice. Enfiar moral na sua ganância e enche os nossos tímpanos com a vossa ereta putice. Onde enfiaram a oralidade? É que tanto silêncio que nesse país nada me anima, nada me excita, nada me fascina, tudo me irrita, tudo me noja, tudo me congela, o povo perece, a nação carece, a África que não cresce, eterno berço e desta e dessa realidade. É uma antítese réplica do ineficiente, taxativa cotização do enciclopedismo da ilusão, bússolas desorientativas, caprichos narcisistas, plataforma de navegáveis submarinos, camada atmosférica de delírios e nós aqui, com esse silêncio infernal. De onde vêm esses silêncios? Thank you. The title of this poem is how can I translate this? Where these silence come. I think is in English could be this. Yeah, I am in this poem. I am talking about the silence that we African people had. I think that we have to fight more to rise our voices. And in my poem, I problematize these things. Yeah, I will send the translation to you, to all of you. You can see in my Facebook page, I will do the translation there of this text. Joyce Izao is my Facebook.
Thank you so much, Joyce. In fact, you don't even need to give us a translation. We felt the energy, but please do share it for those that are watching online that are interested in exploring the poem further, and then we will also dive into it. But thank you so much for also delivering poetry in your home language, which is the most important, and which is what tonight in particular is all about. How the tongue moves and how the poems land on your tongue. So we appreciate you, especially the energy with which you also performed that Portuguese poem. It was a really, it was inviting and it was energizing. Thank you so much, Joyce.
Okay, please remember, thank you.
My pleasure. Please remember to go to Joyce's Facebook page. She has promised us that she is going to post a translation there, but she's also got other work on her Facebook there. So go ahead and interrogate her work and see what it is she's up to, over there in Angola and around the world. Thank you very much, Joyce. That was highly, highly, highly needed. Energy was palpable. Thank you. Next up, Julie Ngadi. Julie is a multidisciplinary artist from Engushwa in Eastern Cape. Julie, please tell me if I said that correct, because I've been practicing.
Well done. Well done. That was the one. That was the one.
Nice.
Are you sure you're not the mayor?
Can I tell the people about how brilliant you are? Wait.
Of course.
Julie. She's currently based in Cape Town, and her work explores intimacy, banality, and opacity in post-TRC South Africa, with particular interest in internal chaos, family systems, and exploring the fragments of contemporary South African social life. Very, very important work that you are doing there, Julie. Welcome to the evening and welcome to the lineup. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very honored to be a part of what was accurately called one for the history books, a history-making panel. So much appreciation to this collective of powerful voices. I feel very, very honored to be a part of this. And again, very grateful for the invitation. Okay, so I'm not gonna do too much contextualizing. The first piece, because the second piece is long. So the first piece, as Kwaz knows, I'm still struggling with the title of poet. I write essays and then I read snippets of essays in places. And so the first one is called Litini Lizwibani. To love Ida, to submit to a kind of never ever knowing, to be well fed on her Alexa, her wisdom, that finding peace is to see love in labor and not in love's requite, to be fed enough on giving that you may ignore the pangs for receiving, a wisdom that is bitter on the tongue of the child and then ferments and sweetens in the cheek of the adult, to love Ida, to be taught in doing, in jaw clenching and whip cracking, in forgetting, in never forgetting. In never forgetting, Ida grew stern. To live, she needed to forget her mother and the plot where she lay, forget her father, but remember his name, forget her husband and the children they lost, forget the ghetto and the quiet it cost, remember to forget when the flashes were vivid, forget to remember when her children's questions were explicit, remember Ephesians 6:1-4, remember Act number 19 of 1954. For the grace of God would reward her sweetly in a life far, far away from this wretched earth, and her faith would be her currency there. Her faith would be her worth. Her faith would be her worth. Her faith would be her worth. She had nothing in this world to give. Her faith would be her worth. Her children had to learn to fly to prove their faith from birth, and she'd ride their wings to heaven's gates, where her faith would be her worth. For God so loved the world, he did, he did, he did, he did. He whispered in her husband's ear each night, he did, he did. And all their children were anointed, God did that, he did. No more little coffins blessed, bless their little hearts, he did, he did. O Ida, O heaven's gate, tomorrow wails, O yesterday, O mother, O daughter's dream, O God's deaf ears and servants scream. For she so loved the earth, she did, she did, she did, she did. She surrendered her flesh to the dirt, she did, she did, she did, she did. O Ida, O let them mourn, O sweet transcendence fireborn, bare, sacred hands with callous tips that dug through ground to find the gift, and once it's found, will not relent. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. So that was a piece that I wrote just kind of reflecting on my grandmother and her process and her dialects of justice through our, and the way that those have fermented and evolved through our family. Okay, and then the second piece is a little bit longer, but I'm hoping it'll be self-explanatory. This is called Miss Overseen 36 and 17. Miss on scene, or the arrangement of the scenery or props on stage for theater. Misseen, or to have seen incorrectly, misperceived visually, taken a wrong view of, or seen in a false or distorted light. Overseen, or to have seen too much, to have been overrepresented. Overseen, or to have been surveyed and watched. In a house on a street filled with eyes, eyes next door and across the way, eyes that cut through the sky every time they pray. In this house on the street full of eyes, there are lives, 2 lives, let's say, works of fiction, daughters of today. Where are their mothers? Still wives, let's say, to martyrs and soldiers and askaris and pray. Still wives, they stay in full lives they made from nothing but warm milk and joko and doilies on trays. Where are their daughters, those daughters of today? They are alive. They are alive in a house on a street filled with eyes. There's a kitchen, there's a door, there's a bedroom and a lounge. There's a stoop with 2 steps. There's that beddie on the floor. There's a blue sky too clear for it not to be ominous. There's a toilet outside and a gate with no latch on it. There's a girl, 17, hanging her panties on the line. There's chipped red on her nails, and there's a lot on her mind. There's a woman, 36, inside on a sofa, fast asleep, a slight gold chain around her neck, a child's blue jersey draped on her feet. There's no blood between them. There's a covenant instead. If you guard me while I fantasize, I will hold you while you rest. Now, there are rumors that 36 cannot be trusted with a dam, and true to a life with no foundation, hers unfolds without a plan. Where's her child? She was pregnant. Where's that man that she stole? Her body was built for entertainment. Who granted her anguish? Who said she could toll? What of her father? They said he was absent, yet his disorientation is set in her eyes. Why won't she stay sexy? Why won't she stay funny? Who taught her resentment? Why will she not cry? She moves like a criminal, her ethics salacious. She seems so wide open. Does she know she is watched? There are whispers that she is dying in plain sight on purpose, so they cannot wear her carcass and say that she did not. Some eyes say it's theater. They say they'll believe her if she shows them a story that they recognize. But they watch so closely because they do not believe her, and they will not believe her, and she must not survive. So she sleeps on a sofa, gold chain in the sunshine, and onlookers wait for her to conjure ever after while she's mending, and massage their swollen and aroused attention, and avoid their gaze while bringing them to happy ending. And not only is she capable, but she has done it before. She has bought herself rest by charging at the door, and with her bit of rest, she has bought a deep sleep, deep enough for her to thrash, and for 17 to dream. But oh, their mothers, still wives, long whispered shape into their dreams. Just say no and you'll stay pure. Just say yes and you'll stay seen. And their fathers everywhere, nowhere, martyrs, soldiers, askaris, and prey taught them to fight because nobody really wants daughters anyway. Maybe the one drinks like a fighter and the other fucks like a king. Maybe she's too young to be drinking and she's too old to be seen. Maybe the eyes that peered from one house pitied that 17 was not in school and looked and loved that she was from the village, but hated her sass and her love for Igruv. Or maybe the eyes that watched the longest, watched 36 grow and then ripe and then rot, and ogled her flesh and lapped at her lips and drank of her blood and then forgot. Perhaps 17's dreams were poison when 36 lay beside her thrashing. Maybe no one is nurtured when we are all surviving. Maybe it's hard to come through the flinching and the gnashing. Or maybe it's easy. Let's say it is easy. Let's say 17 is being looked at for that. And so all of the eyes search her body for bleeding, so the pain that she claims can be taken as fact. Because she's a body, recall. She's a body. She's hips and she's tits and she's black and she's flesh. She's all satisfaction and zero desire, and it's when you can taste her that she's at her best. But she's meant to be sweet. She's meant to be a sweet thing, so why is she bitter? Or is she salty? Her flavor's unclear. She churns in the stomachs of those that consume her, so they vomit her out, but continue to stare. So why does she dance and laugh so sincerely? It must be psychosis. It must mean she's trouble. They watch. They want to see her win over adversity, but then disappear under all of its rubble. Buried alive, dead to the living, moving and breathing and agile, but dead. Made of the gaze and fully in character, hanging her panties, embalmed with unsaids. But what if she does not know that she is a native, even though she lives in native unit number 6? Because maybe the girl that she kissed made her foreign, even while the soft of her edges made her fit. How is she so moist on the surface? How is she so soft to the touch? Maybe it's nobody's fucking business how she is loved so very much. Or was it lust? Or was she rushed? Some eyes insist we cannot trust the circumstances, and we must remember that she is capable of comprehending, which is not much. They say she atrophied sometime between 9, 10, or 11. Maybe that's why she reads like a menace. Kutiwa, indo engapheliyo iyahlola. So maybe she's a curse. Maybe she's penance. 17 could be everything that the eyes may imagine, but 36 knows that what they will imagine will always be bleak. Because once she heard them praying, and they did not ask to see her better. They only asked that she remain a lesson that they could learn and that they could teach. But away, 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 17's mind is busy and far away. Her bare back warms beneath the sun and her thoughts run far, far away. She wonders how many times she has stood in flip-flops and some leggings and a vest in this life and once before. Will she stand here in the next? She wonders how many times she has stood there, lips all shiny, face all matte, nowhere to be, reporting for beauty. She wonders if they'll give her credit for that. She knows that she wants them to look at her different, even though 36 said their vision is bleak. The trouble is each time she says, see me differently, all that they say, all that they hear is please look at me. But when 17 dreams that her world is different and she could go unseen even for just a day, she wakes beside 36 who is twitching and remembers the stories of when the eyes looked away. 36 says a man once gouged his eyes out and flung havoc on the walls of this house and called it love. And the eyes stood in awe of his bloody sockets and the streets filled with silence and the house filled with blood. 17 knew the story by heart, not from the time that it was told, but from the 1,000 times after that she had to watch it unfold. She watches now. 17 watches. She watches her kin self-eulogize. She watches her speak like she lives in her ending, like she'd rather try her luck in a world with no eyes. 17 has told 36 that she's watching, that she is a coward now because of what she has seen, that behind all the eyes and the men with their sockets, 36 was all that 17 could see. 17 wants to know if she should tell this story, or should she call for help, or should she just lie? She loves 36, and she wants to respect her, but if she looks away, which one of them will survive? Thank you.
Oh man. Oh, Julie. Oh man. You took our hands at the beginning of that and you held it right through and showed us all of those stories. Oh man, 17. Oh, Julie, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Julie, for sharing that with us, and also for the form that your work takes. You know, it's really interesting for me, and I really enjoy the way you present your work, and for sharing that with the world here today. Thank you for inviting us into those stories. Ralini, thank you for telling us about your granny that told you to wake up. It's just a dream. Flo, thank you for reminding us of the languages and the rich history and culture that we have. Jamila, for telling us that gender is just a thing and we need to get over it. For Joyce, who came and told us about peace, but also about that silence that stops us from finding that peace. To all of you tonight, Flo Wellington, Julie Ngadi, Pralini Naidu, Jamila Roshani, and Joyce Zhao, I would like to extend my greatest and sincerest thank you for sharing your work with us tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the fire comments. There are comments going on in Twitter. We can't read all of them, so forgive me, on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. We acknowledge you. Thank you also for engaging the poets and their work. Please do go and follow them. See what it is they have. Pralini has a new book out, so all of us need to get it this week. And then the rest of us will keep doing what we do. Thank you once again to the Poetry Africa team, Bash on the back end, for running these online sessions. This is the last of the online readings that I will be hosting this week. Tomorrow evening, Rita from Angola will be taking over one of our reading sessions to give a bit of an international voice to our guests that she will be hosting. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We hope that the poems rained into your heart and changed you and made you softer and more open to the world, and that the ideas that were shared tonight also offer a new perspective for tomorrow and the tomorrow that we want. All of you, please look after each other and be safe.